Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now this week's video is all about me creating my first ever print in the darkroom from a 4x5 inch negative. In the past, and all the darkrooms that I've had, I've always gone up to medium format but could never get to large format because the large format enlargers were so expensive and just too big to fit in my small darkrooms. So the only way I've been able to get my 4x5 inch negatives into print is to scan them and then print them out on the inkjet printer. But I've always wanted to print them in the darkroom. Now, thanks to a company called Intrepid cameras, and I'll just say at the outset, they're not sponsoring this channel. I'm not connected in any way with them. It's just my thoughts on it and what this kit can produce, the end result, the print. So as I say, I'm not connected with Intrepid cameras, but they have fetched out a kit that works really, really well. But the thing that you'll need before you buy this kit, you'll have to have a 4x5 inch camera. Unlike this is a Chamonix. This shoots 4x5 inch negatives, and I think, and I'll stand corrected, but I'm sure that for this to work, the camera has to what's called have a graph lock back. In other words, you must be able to remove the focusing screen from the camera and then fit in the light source that comes with the Intrepid kit. So you need one of those. As I say, if you've got 4x5 negatives, you probably own one. The kit comes with a light source like this. It's LED, it's very small and light, and it comes with a negative holder. Now, I've only got the one negative holder. You can buy more, but I've got this one, and that simply fits into there when it's fitted to the back of the large format camera. But I'll show you that in a minute. That's the negative that I'm going to actually print. It's a picture that I did of some daisies using the 4x5 inch pinhole camera. Right, so you get the light source, and that comes and it's connected to this. This is the control panel, and that's it on that side. From my point of view, now I've got this enlarger head on the Kaiser enlarger, but if I take that off, I've got to find a way of connecting my large format camera to this enlarger stand to turn it into an enlarger for 4x5 inch negatives. So what I can do with this, and I was very lucky, I found a bracket. I'll show you that in a minute. I can take this head off and lay it down carefully, and then I managed to find one of these brackets for this Kaiser enlarger. Now this turns this stand now into a copy stand, but in my case it allows me to fit my 4x5 camera on it, and it works this way. Simply, well, I connect it to the camera first. So I connect this to the camera like I would onto a tripod. It all connects up nice and tight. Now, which way does it want to be? That way. Make sure it's straight. So that's now connected to the back of the Chamonix camera, and then I push that on to the enlarger head, and you see that, like that, and it clicks into position, and I can lock it in place with this knob. Now that's all connected, and I can use this now to go up and down using the enlarger column. So that works great. So how do we get the light to fit on the graph lock back? Well, I'm moving a little bit closer and show you that. So this is how you turn your standard 4x5 inch camera into an enlarger. The first thing to do is remove the focusing screen. With this camera, just lift those latches and it pushes off. Put that away safely, and then replace it with the LED light source. That slips in at the front like that, and it's held in place with 4 pins. Other enlargers might be different, but that's how it is on this camera. And now it's held securely. What I would suggest when you've got to that stage is to make sure that the camera is level vertically and horizontally. use a little spirit level, that's what I use. And the other thing, I'll just swing it round so you can see it. The lens that I've got on this camera is a 150mm lens. That's what I use with this camera, and it's the only lens that I've got, but it will produce good images, I'm told. And how I work with this, I set it to time, open the shutter and then leave it open while it's on the enlarger and work that way. At some stage I'll get a dedicated 150mm lens, because I think they're probably optimised to give better results. But for the time being, I'll be using this, and I'm sure it'll give me some great images because it is a good lens. So I'll tighten that back up. Now once you've got the camera levelled, etc., you're going to put the negative in. The carrier that I got for this was this one. It holds the negatives surprisingly well. It's a well thought out carrier, that. And that goes, once the negative's in that slot there, and pushes in, and then it's below the light source. So the light shines through the negative, protects it onto the easel. So that's a great hold of that. You can get them, you can get a few of these, you can buy a kit, but I just want the 4x5 to start with. The next thing is to power up the control panel. Just plug it in, and it boots up. And there's various modes you can set this to. You can set it for colour printing using the yellow, magenta and cyan dials. You can put it in black and white mode, where you're just using the contrast filters. It goes from grade 00 right up to grade 5, which is good. You've got a safe light on it, a cancel button, the focus button. If I press this, you'll see the light come on. There we go. And then turn it off. That was in red, so I can actually look at the negative on the easel, because it's a red light going through the negative and the paper's not sensitive to that. But if I want it to be white, I just press that and hold it and it turns to white, so I get a brighter view. So that's good. This is your focus button. Just explain that with the safe light settings. This is the run button. This is a button you press to start the time. You select the time by pressing that. That gives you a plus time, that gives you minus. And when you press run, turn it off actually, press run, you can see the filtration there is in place and the timer turns on. What I do like about this, it's got a little cutout there, because you won't be able to see this as clearly in the dark as you can see it now. And you don't want to be pressing this button, otherwise you'll ruin the paper. It's this button, the run button, that's important. It's got a little cutout there, so if you're not sure where it is, just run your nail over it, and then directly above is the run button. So it's dead easy to use, and it's very self-explanatory. The other thing that you can do with this, you can take this light source off, put it on the easel facing the light source facing upwards, and set it into like a copy mode. So in that scenario, you'd fit your digital camera to the enlarger, point it down towards that light source and put your negatives on, and you can digitize your film negatives. So that's something I might try in the future when my scanners are packing working. So a great setup, dead easy to use and self-explanatory. Now, one other thing I want to show you that I purchased that solves a big problem for me is the focusing of the image on the easel, because the actual lens is higher up on the column to get the enlargement that I want for bigger prints. Now normally for smaller prints I would use this. It's the Patterson Micro Focus Finder. You can get these that are taller, so they make it easier sometimes, saves you having to stretch. But normally with this you have to get your eye to it, and the focusing knob on my enlarger is at the side. It's usually around about this height for normal size prints, and I can focus using that and bending down and focusing on the grain. But because the camera's so high on the column and the focusing knob on the chamois is at the back, there's no way I can get my eye to that viewfinder and focus at the same time. So I'd have to do it by eye, but that isn't always practical. It's not always the best way to work. So somebody recommended to me this. It's the magnesite. I think it's made in America. It was a family business that made these, but they're no longer in production. I was very lucky. I got this on eBay. I paid £25 for it, and this is going to make life so much easier. With this, I can place it anywhere on the easel. I can go into the corners to make sure though that the corners are sharp. But the main thing with it is, if I place this over a part of the negative where we've got a dark area meeting a light area, we've got this edge, I can place it over that, and because the magnification I think is about 10 times, I can look at a distance and I can go up there and focus on the chamois until the image comes into focus. And I can do it at a distance, which is going to make a big difference for me. So it's a great accessory to get hold of if you can get hold of them. Right, I'll just zoom in a bit. I'm going to do the test prints now. I've got the enlarger set to the correct height, etc. But I'm not going to video doing that because I don't have enough light when I'm working under red light, so you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is do the test prints and then actually show you those and explain how I'm going to work from them. And the only time that I'll show you under the red light is when I'm actually doing the final print. So we'll move on now. I'll get the test prints done and then we'll have a look at them and see what information I can get from those. So these are the 3 test strips that I've created. I've got the enlarger set to the height for the enlargement. I'll keep that the same. I won't move it now because it will alter these exposure times. I set the lens to f11 and I chose grade 2.5 as a starting grade simply because it's between grade 0 and grade 5. I gave it 4 exposures, 5, 10, 15, 20. Now this test strip is the most important one because it's telling me the exposure time and the paper grade that I want to use. So looking at the first exposure, 5 seconds, that's too light. 10 seconds is getting a little bit better but still lacking in contrast. 15 seconds, that's the one that I'm really interested in, and 20 seconds is just too dark. Now the vision that I want from this print is to have the central part of the picture where the flowers are to be really bright, and as it goes out to the edges to go really dark, so I've got that lovely contrast between the centre and the edges. It was taken with a pinhole camera and the dual vignette. I just want to accentuate that to give the image more depth and impact. So I want to bump up the contrast on this. The grade 2.5 has created some nice blacks there, but they're just too light. I want them to be darker. And the petals, the density is okay, but they're too grey for what I want. I want them to have more impact. So the way that I'm going to work this, and this is all from this test strip, is to up the grade, go for grade 5. That will give me the deeper blacks that I want, and it will also increase the lightness of these petals, and then split that time with a grade 0, and hopefully that will put some density back into the petals. Now I did that on the second strip, but rather than using 5 seconds with the grade 0, I used 10, so I split it equally. 10 seconds with a grade 5 and 10 seconds with a grade 0, and it's nearly where I want it to be, but I still want the flowers to be even brighter still. So for the final test strip, and hopefully this is going to give me the print that I want, I went for 10 seconds with a grade 5 and 8 seconds with the grade 0. And the grade 0, I just put a little bit more density back into the petals, and that's just looking about right. I'm not bothered about trying to get the detail out of these petals. I just want the separation of the actual petals themselves. Because when I look at the test strip up here on a softer grade of paper, I can't really see any detail. It's just density, and that's because it was a pinhole camera and it just can't resolve detail, but it will show the density. So that's the exposure that I'm going to go for, and hopefully it's going to create the print that I'm after and the vision that I want. So we'll get on now and do the print. Right, I've set the enlarger head to the enlargement size I want. So first thing is to do is to turn on the white light and check the composition. And that looks just about right. Just wants a little twist on that top right corner. And that's looking okay. And then next thing is to focus it. Now, normally I'd use the Patterson focus finder, but unfortunately I can't get my eye to that, right up to that viewing lens, and reach up to the top of the Chamonix focusing knob. It's at the back of the camera. I wish it had been on the side, but it's at the back of the camera, and I can't get my eye to that and focus at the same time. So I'd have to guesstimate it, but because I've got the magnesite, I don't have to do that, because wherever I place this on the screen I can see the image nearly right into the corners. So all I've got to find is the edge of a petal in the picture, and then I can look at that from at least a good foot away and then adjust the focus knob until the image comes into focus, and that looks spot on now. Great piece of kit this. So that's that. White light off. Remove that piece of paper. Set the multigrade filter to grade 5. This is going to be the first exposure, and the time to 10 seconds. That's all set. Put the paper in. Right, got a sheet of 12 by 16 inch paper. I'll get it set up on this horrendous easel. I've got to get another one, a better one at some stage. This is not very good at all. Right, that looks about right. Now set the I've got that set to grade 5, just checking everything, and the time is 10 seconds, and make the first exposure. So this is going to give me the contrast and the nice deep blacks. Now that's that exposure, so then I'll change the filtration to grade 0 and the time to 8 seconds. Now this will add more detail to the petals. They weren't white, they were yellow, but just want a little bit of detail, but I don't want the petals, the lighter areas, to become muddy. I want them to, you know, sort of pop out off the paper, so to speak. So this is just going to affect that area on the negative, the highlights, and then so it's 8 seconds at 0 grade. So that's done. Get the paper out and then put it into the development tray. Right, get the exposed sheet of paper out of the easel and bob it into the developer. I'm going to develop this for around about 2 to 2.5 minutes. And we should see an image appearing. It's starting to come now. When my kids were young and I used to let them watch me in the darkroom, they called this magic paper. It is magic though to watch it do this, all created with light. So as I say, with this image, I want that contrast, especially for the middle petals. I want them to be bright and to give some depth to the image, because I know that the surrounding edges of this image, because it was a pinhole camera, are going to go darker. So I don't want them to go too muddy, as you might say. Just want it to be nice and bright. See that there. So after this I'll bob it into the stop bath for 30 seconds and then get the paper fixed and washed, and then we can have a look at it. Right, it's been in the fixer a good minute, turn the light on now. And that's looking really good, that. It won't be a dead sharp image because it's a pinhole picture. Put it in the bowl and then go wash it. Right, put the print into the washer. Set that going and leave it for approximately 2 or 3 minutes, and then add a couple of drops of wetting agent and let it soak in that, pull it out, and then hang it up and take a quick look. Right, I'm just waiting for the paper to soak in wetting agent and then hang it up to dry, and it should dry even. I do enjoy working in the wet darkroom again, creating prints. It's great fun, but I'm not going to stop doing the hybrid workflow, scanning the negatives and printing them out on an inkjet printer. I do really enjoy that process as well. Both processes have their own merits. Which is the best one to do? I don't know. It's it's down to you, what you enjoy doing. But to do them both is a bonus, and all it does, it enriches your hobby. It gives you different ways to work and keeps your interest there. As regards which produces the best quality prints, I'm not going to go down that road. It's down to the end user, what they're happy with. And I think if you start comparing digital cameras to film cameras, darkroom prints to inkjet prints, you're going on a sticky path there. Seen in isolation, both produce really good results. So I do enjoy it, and I will continue to mix and match both processes. So I'll go get the print now and have a look and see if it's worked. Right, got the print. Hang it up and have a quick look. Darkroom prints, when they're wet, are hard to evaluate properly because they have what's called dry down, and when they're wet they appear different to when they're dry. They go darker when they actually dry. So but standing back from the image, I've got the effect that I was after. It really looks good, does that. I've got the central portion that's nice and bright. I've got the separation in the petals, and it goes dark to the edges. I've just emphasised that vignetting from the pinhole camera. So all in all, I'm very pleased with that, and I don't think I'll have to do that print again. It's not often that happens. Sometimes when you're doing this game, you think you've got your test strips right, do your print it out, and it's just not right. But with this one, I'm really, really happy. So we'll wait till it dries and have a closer look. So this is the print. It's dried down lovely now. It's got a slight curl on it, but that'll go when it's laid flat. It's dried down great, because I was a little bit worried when I introduced the grade 5 filter that I would lose density in these petals. But the fact that I introduced a grade 0 filter has just put density into those petals. I can see each individual one, which is just what I wanted. I didn't want it to be just a mass of white, but I wanted it brighter. So the grade 5 and the grade 0 has given me exactly what I wanted. I've got this lovely contrast where it's bright in the centre and it goes darker to the edges. It would have done that even without contrast increase, because it was a pinhole camera, and this is caused by vignetting, but I've just exaggerated that purely for a visual point, from a visual point of view. Now the print size is 16 by 12, but with the border that I put round, it's round about 15.5 by 11.5, and it's printed on Ilford multigrade deluxe RC paper. So it's a really nice print, and I'm very pleased with it. So what I'm going to do is put this this print on eBay for auction. If you want to help support the channel, go to the link in the description and put a bid in. All the proceeds that I get go back into me buying chemicals and papers to help me keep doing this content. And the thing is, this print is a darkroom print. If I printed another one, I would never get exactly the same. So it is unique, and it's my first 4x5 darkroom print that I've ever done. Over the years, in the various darkrooms I had, I never had the room to put a 4x5 enlarger into them. Some of them are absolutely huge, but not only that, I couldn't afford them. So this Intrepid kit and its LED technology enables me now to use and print my 4x5 negatives, which is great for anybody who's got a standard type enlarger. You can adapt it with your large format camera and turn it into an enlarger for 4x5 negatives. So I'm very pleased. So that is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them below and I'll get back to you. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, a like. Better still, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And as I always say, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. My first 4x5 darkroom print that I've ever done.